Hi, my name is Brooke, and I'm looking at myself and not the camera. Goodness, I am self-conceited. Okay. Hi, my name is Brooke, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you my process and hopefully the really good result of Celtic initial design for a project for my class in Advanced Typography. I chose this project because I visited Ireland, I think in 2018, and when I went, I just absolutely fell in love with the history and the culture of the place, all the design and everything that I saw. I just absolutely loved it. And so when we were talking about the initials and drop caps and all that, and I saw that there was like a historical aspect to the Celtic initial design, I was so excited. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I want to do it the way that they did back then. So to tell you a little bit about the history of Celtic initials and manuscripts and all of that, I'm gonna hand you off to VoiceOver Brooke.
Illuminated manuscripts were decorated and illustrated handwritten books produced from the late Roman Empire until printed books replaced them. These illuminated manuscripts would typically be illustrated Bibles, such as the Book of Kells. Scriptors, the monks who worked on books, worked on the manuscripts in rooms called scriptoriums. These rooms were lit by windows so the monks could work throughout the day. Vellum, or calfskin, was cultivated by the monks and used as the pages for the manuscripts. Typically, text was written in black ink first by the copisti, the production letterer, and then passed the page on to the illuminator. The illuminator would add images and color to the spaces that were left blank at the beginning of the process. In 795 CE, northern raiders found their way to the coast of Ireland, which led to the destruction of two of the greatest scriptoria in medieval history, Lindisfarne and Iona. The Book of Kells was most likely being completed in Iona, and escaping monks took it to Kells to finish it. The Great Book of Kells resides in its final resting place on display at Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland.
So the first thing that I did was start to kind of do some rough sketches of Celtic knots and some ideas of different letters that I saw on Pinterest or on the internet or based on the Book of Kells. And I realized how difficult it was to draw Celtic knots and all the intricate little like weavings and all that. And I ended up having just a very slight mental breakdown.
You can see I wrote the word help a couple times.
So after drawing my first little rough sketches and also doing a bunch of research on different inks that I could purchase, I found a shop on Etsy that actually makes inks based on medieval recipes, and also they like hand cut their own quills. Very excited to get that. I did a little video montage of that.
Aesthetic.
So after I had everything, I sat down and I did small like little thumbnail sketches of what the bigger initials are going to look like. And that's when past Brooke realized that she got way in over her head, because goodness, even though they were small little thumbnail sketches, they were so intricate and so much that I realized I could not do 26 letters, maybe 13, maybe. So another mental breakdown, which is great. Love that. So after I did those, I wanted to test out my ink because I was super excited about it. So I did some writing samples with my quill onto the paper, just regular paper, copy paper. And for some reason, the ink smelled like super good. And it was also really fun to just draw with it and do lines and write with it. So as I was testing it, I needed to see if I could color or paint with it. And the quill made it really difficult to paint with. It just made really great lines and it made the ink pool up a little bit, which was a little bit frustrating. I looked for and found some paintbrushes that my parents actually bought me, and they're actually from China. So they are calligraphy brushes. So they have a nice point at the end, and I tested it out and it worked perfectly great. And sure, maybe the monks didn't use brushes that were from China. I don't have readily available squirrel tails to just, So then, after that, I made my small little thumbnail sketches bigger and then transferred those sketches onto my final parchment paper, which was really easy because the parchment is super thin, but also very concerning because the parchment is super thin. I would have loved to use like actual vellum like they did back in the day, but vellum is like super expensive and obviously I can't make it myself. My professor was kind enough to send me a bunch of links and stuff to vellum parchment and all that, and the price for just one sheet was absolutely ridiculous. And what I wanted to do was have multiple sheets so that my letters could be nice and big. If I just did one sheet and painted it on top of that sheet, they would have been small like my initial little thumbnails. And I didn't really want to do that. So I figured that telling you what they used was just as good as actually using it. And then after that, I started painting and painting and painting and painting, and oh my goodness, did it take so long. I dislike painting with ink. I found that on copy paper, the historical ink showed up really well because the copy paper really absorbed it. And maybe vellum absorbs ink better than the parchment that I purchased, and it just kind of pools on top and then dries on top. I found that especially the black ink, it was really thin and not opaque at all, and if I wanted it to be opaque, I'd have to layer it, or I'd have to purposefully pool on top of itself just so that it would dry dark. I don't know what I could have done to avoid that, but it is what it is.
I'm actually enjoying painting with the modern calligraphy ink a little bit more because it's thicker. I end up having to dilute it with a little bit of water, which that looks gross, to match kind of the aging of the Book of Kells. What I thought was going to be brown turned out to be a little bit more yellow, and actually turns out to not show up very well. As you can see, this yellow here, this calligraphy ink, is showing up a lot more. It's a lot more vibrant than this historic thing here. It's very light, just kind of learning and seeing how delicate it is, and I'm having to move the paper a lot to get different angles, and trying to move the quill in my hand to kind of get angles and sharp points on it so that too much ink doesn't come out. And they didn't do that. They had it upright on a drawing table, and just the skill that they had to be able to draw fine lines and little details and stuff without moving the paper, even though it's a small thing, to move the paper, is impressive to me because I need to move the paper upside down, sideways, everything, so that I can just get what I want. Well, yeah, so they're super time consuming. I still have all of these to paint. Yep. All right, well, was just checking in.
There was actually a time, I think it was yesterday. There was a time, yes, it was yesterday. I sat down starting at 9 a.m. and just painted straight through the day. And I didn't even finish all of them. I have one that I purposely left unfinished so that I can paint it in the reveal. I wanted to die. It gave me such an appreciation for what the monks did back in the day. They were so skilled and so patient. I just really appreciated the absolute beautiful masterpiece that the Book of Kells is. It's just, they're so beautiful and they're so intricate, and they did take forever to do. I only did a few letters. I didn't even write anything, and I didn't even decorate any carpet pages. I didn't even do any illustrations that would take up an entire page. I just did a few letters, and granted, they're like, okay. They're not even to the point of what the monks did. And I'm just blown away. You read about it, you learn about it, you watch videos, take a test on it maybe, and you move on, and you're like, alright, cool. That's awesome, they did the thing, that's great, good for them. But actually doing it really brought a whole other element to it. It just made it come to life for me. It gave it more of like a physical, tangible being about it, as opposed to just reading about it. So without further ado, the moment we've all been waiting for, the end of the project, the reveal. Yay, it's done! Well, my final thoughts on it is that it went relatively well. It was super, super hard. Took a lot of time, a lot more time than I thought it actually would. I thought this would be a relatively easy project, but it was not. I'm just very grateful that I have it finished, and even though I did stress out about it, I did have fun. I did have a good time doing it. it just gave me such an appreciation, like I've already said, for how beautiful and intricate these manuscripts are. I love Celtic stuff. I love Irish history. My dog is coming to say hello to me. Hi, Mimi. Oh, someone else came to visit. Hello, baby. Oh, big stretch. Oh my goodness. Oh, everybody's coming. Oh my goodness, stretching. Wow. Preserving history is so important to me for some reason. I just absolutely love knowing what they did in the past. And doing this project, I was so grateful that my professor allowed me to do just a few letters as opposed to all 26, like I said I wanted to at the very beginning of this project. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I'm just so grateful that she allowed me to do that, and that she also allowed me to do this fun video as opposed to writing a document like I also said I was going to do at the very beginning. I did have to write a research paper, however, which also took a lot of time. But it really helped know about the historical process. It allowed me to write it all down so that I had somewhere to kind of look and I knew it like off the top of my head instead of having to constantly Google it or research it whenever I was doing stuff. The research paper also allowed me to create the portion of this video that was educational so that you know what I know now.
Wow.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had a good time watching me fail, watching me slightly succeed, I guess. I don't know, maybe it'll encourage you to take history in your own hands and experience it yourself. It was a really good time and I really recommend it. I probably will never do the Celtic initials ever again because it took way too long, but I'll probably do something else. Thank you so much for watching again. I hope you have a wonderful day.